I have a question for y'all. How many of y'all have a childhood memory that you look back on and smile and think about fondly? Thank you. Gotta love my teammates out here, guys. How many of y'all have that childhood memory? All right, I do too. And one of my favorite memories is one from when I was about 7 or 8. This little ruffian running up and down the halls of my dad's lab at Marshall Space Flight Center. What I was doing was laying chain down. And I didn't realize it then, but I was helping test a sensor that would help keep astronauts safe and save NASA money as we go back and explore the moon and beyond. That sensor is called the Video Guidance Sensor, and it's part of the Automated Rendezvous and Capture program. Now, that program title is just a fancy way of saying we're going to take 2 spacecraft and we're going to dock them in space automatically without a pilot controlling. But it's really risky because if you go too fast, well, then you're going to puncture your hull, all your oxygen is going to vent, and you're going to kill your astronauts. But if you go too slowly, then those 2 spacecraft are going to shoot off in opposite directions, and your mission's lost. So they developed the Video Guidance Sensor. The Video Guidance Sensor is comprised of 2 components. You have the target vehicle, which has an upside-down T, which is composed of a bunch of prisms, really reflective. On the chase vehicle, you have the sensor head. It has a video camera in it, not unlike what you can buy down at Best Buy, surrounded by a bunch of lasers, kind of like laser pointers. Those lasers flash, hit the prisms, and shoot straight back to the video camera. Once that light returns, software inside the sensor, kind of like your video editing software on your computer, processes everything and can tell the ground and any astronauts on board exactly where the chase vehicle or the target vehicle is. It can tell it if it's rolling any, if it's sitting sideways, but more importantly, it can tell you how fast you're approaching it. So you can dock with just the right amount of energy. The Video Guidance Sensor flew twice in space. The first time was on Space Shuttle Columbia. You can see its mission patch right here on the front of my jacket. The second time was on Space Shuttle Discovery, right here. Now, the Discovery flight was excellent, and it was amazing because John Glenn returned to flight on there. Kind of hard to have a bad mission when John Glenn's on your crew. The Video Guidance Sensor performed excellently on flight. Kurt Brown commanded the Discovery mission, and it worked so well that he came out and said he could fly approaches to the International Space Station with it. Now, the Video Guidance Sensor and myself have both grown and changed a lot over those past decade. But one thing hasn't changed, the love for spaceflight. When I look back at NASA, as NASA looks to the future, about the future of space exploration, I look back and think about this little ruffian running up and down my dad's lab at Marshall Space Flight Center. Thank you.
Judges.
All right. So I'm taking it from your jacket that you love space and that you love wouldn't mind being an astronaut, perhaps. So I guess my question for you is, which shuttle mission would you most have liked to have gone on in the past or imagined in the future, right, to go on, and why?
So past, future.
Past or the future, which shuttle mission in the past or which one that you can imagine in the future would you most like to have gone on or go on, and why?
Space shuttle missions, it's hard to beat STS-95, the Discovery mission, because of John Glenn. Also, that little kind of thing about being my dad's sensor. Although if that went bad, my dad may yell at me when I got back. If I had to pick any mission, Apollo 17 from the past would have been great, or the first mission back to the moon or onto Mars. Just want to go exploring, and I want to share it with everybody else.
This was a very personal story, and it was a neat way that you wove together the how it related to your history and how the science worked into one coherent piece. How do you approach communicating something that you have no tangible experience with, some random concept that someone on the news might ask you to convey?
That's a really difficult thing to do. All of us down here, we're talking about something we love. So it's a lot easier, like you said. When you're talking about something you don't enjoy, I guess you got to find something small in there, something that really grasps you, and share your passion with it. And remember that we're talking and we're sharing everything that we're doing for the benefit of everybody else and for ourselves.
Thanks for sharing your personal stuff. I think that is great. I'd like to know what you think NASA should do to move forward the manned exploration program. If you could identify the next step, what would that be?
The next step for me, I'm a big proponent of let's colonize the moon. I definitely want to get to Mars. I definitely want to get to the near-Earth asteroids. But I think we need to go to the moon first, set up a colony, figure out what tools we need, figure out how everything's going to work. In situ resource utilization, living off the land, is going to be a big thing we need to do, especially on Mars. Pull rocket fuel, pull water to eat, to drink and to eat. So I think that's the big thing we need to focus on, colonizing the moon. And let's make sure SLS and Orion get off the ground all right.